find out. If our number is written, if our last digit is in the tens place, that tells us that we have to divide our whole or our set into 10 equal parts. And if we have our last digit that is in the hundredths place, that tells us that we can divide our whole or our set into 100 equal parts. And similarly for going from fractions to decimals. With fractions, it tells us that 10 equal parts is going to be equal to 1/10. That's what you all showed when we had 7 of 10. Everyone wrote 0 and 7/10. But this is why. Because 10 equal parts, 10 equal parts is going to be equal to 1. So one of those equal parts is going to be equal to 1/10. And the same for our 100 equal parts. So we're breaking our 100 equal parts into 0 and 100. So now we're going to find out exactly why. With converting from decimals to fractions. I have a decimal that's written 0 and 100. 0 and 100. Because I see that my hundreds tells me that I have to break my whole into 100 equal parts, I know that I'm going to have to divide my whole into 100 total or 100 equal parts. So if I want to use the chart, I see first that I've divided my whole, which is my square, into 100 equal parts because my last digit is in the hundreds place. Next, I want to find out how I can represent this in my chart. I have 100 equal parts or fair shares, so I want to put one of those hundreds. So I would shade in one of my 100 equal squares. But as we did last week, and as we're learning this week, we can also represent our fractions using a picture representation. We have divided our whole into 100 equal parts, and we've shaded one of those equal parts. So I can represent this as 1 of 100, or 1 out of 100. So my fraction representation will be 1 of 100. I see if my hundredths place, if my digit is in the hundredths place, I break it into 100 equal parts. We broke our whole into 100 equal parts. It tells us how many of those equal parts we want. We want only one of those. Therefore, we have 1 of 100. And we can do the same for our 7/10ths. Because my digit, my last digit, is in my tenths place, I'm going to break this into, or divide my whole, into 10 equal parts. So I've taken my whole, and I've divided it into 10 equal parts because I have tenths. My last digit is in my tenths place, so I divide my whole into 10 equal parts. Next, I tell myself that I want 7 of those 10 equal parts. So I can shade in 7 of my 10 equal parts. I shade in 7 of my 10 equal parts because that's how many I want. I want 7/10. So I shade in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of my 10 equal parts. And I can represent that as a fraction as 7 over 10, or 7 of 10. Because I now have 7 of my 10 total parts. Zero and 15 hundredths. 0 and 15 hundredths. want you all to turn and talk. How would I represent 0 and 1500ths as a fraction? Turn and talk.
15. So I see that I think you guys might make a whole 100 shared in 15.
Yeah, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rashard, what did you and your group discuss? How will I represent 0 and 1500ths as a fraction?
I think you got to draw like 100 squares or a cube.
Okay, so why are we dividing our whole into 100 equal parts? Okay, so you're saying that because our last digit is in the hundreds place, that's why we have to divide our whole into 100 equal parts? Okay, okay. So we're on the right track. We first have to divide our whole into 100 equal parts. Jacquez, how will we represent our 0 and 1500ths as a fraction? We know it's in 100. We know that we already have 100 equal parts. Now, how many of those equal parts do we want? 15. Why do you say that?
It's 15 because I said 15 because.
Okay, yeah, because it shows us that we want 15 of those hundreds. So, now using our fraction notation, Tori, how would we represent 0 and 1500ths? Tori, what's going to be my numerator?
What?
Brianna, what's going to be my denominator? 100. Good. So we showed that 1500ths or 0 and 1500ths is also or can be converted to 15 of 100. Why do we have 100 in our denominator, Kamani?
Because that is the full amount of
Okay, so it tells us that we have to divide our decimal into 100 equal parts, or our whole into 100 equal parts. And why do we have 15 in the numerator, Kamani? Yes, it tells us what's present or what we want. Alright, I need you all to take your markers and your whiteboards and pass them over. I'll give you 10 seconds at a voice level of 0. 10, 9, 8, 7. Good, my first row is ready. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Good, my third row is ready. Good job, Dr. S. And 1. 3, 2, 1.
Ready.
Get ready. I want you all to represent these numbers that are written in decimal notation in fraction notation. 30 seconds. 0 and 900ths. When you have it, put it in your chest. Only fraction notation, Tori. Do not write so hard. Just fine. 10 seconds. We're writing our number that is in decimal notation and fraction notation. If you have it already, you are supposed to have your markers closed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Red.
See those answers. For everyone who has 9 of 100, you are correct.
Yes!
Next time, you don't have to yes. Just be good, happy that you got it correct. Erase those boards, and let's move on.